The Drill Doctor Drill Bit Sharpener, the easiest and fastest way to keep your bits as sharp as new. Drill Doctor features a patented design that sharpens bits with the same motion used when bits are first made. And this design is so precise that bits can be sharpened hundreds of times. All Drill Doctor models sharpen standard twist and masonry bits from 3/32 to 1/2 inch. The Model 750X chuck will sharpen bits up to 3/4 inch in size. This chuck may be purchased separately for the Model 500X. Your Model 500X or 750X can sharpen split point bits, and you can control the point angle and the relief angle of the bit. And you can even sharpen left-handed or reverse twist bits if you purchase the special chuck. Your Drill Doctor is constructed around a metal core for precise sharpening and splitting. Stay tuned to learn how to use your Drill Doctor to keep your bits factory sharp.
Hi, I'm Robert Gilman. The Drill Doctor is no ordinary tool. It's a professional quality drill bit sharpener used by small manufacturers, machinists, and mechanics worldwide. I'm here today because a few simple demonstrations will help you quickly master your Drill Doctor. But first, it's important to understand how a drill bit works. These are the flutes. They don't cut, they just move material out of the hole. The cutting happens at the tip of the bit with the chisel point and the cutting edges. The keys to a sharp bit are easy to see on this industrial drill. The chisel point must be absolutely centered. The angle between the chisel point and the cutting edge must be right. The cutting edge must be sharp, and there must be a downward angle away from the cutting edge. The Drill Doctor has an innovative design that creates this geometry. It starts with patented dual cams that move the bit in two directions, in and out, up and down, creating exactly the same motion factories use to make new drill bits. The Drill Doctor uses an industrial strength diamond sharpening wheel so that hundreds of bits can be sharpened without the wheel wearing down or changing shape.
With your Drill Doctor, you have the option to split the point of the bit.
Over the past 15 years, a modified drill bit called a split point has become popular. Now, bits with this feature may also be called high performance or back cut bits. To create a split point, after sharpening, a small amount of material is taken off of the back side of each face of the bit. This narrows the chisel point so the bit digs into material faster, and they wander less, so you rarely need to center punch holes. Split point bits can be particularly useful when drilling into metal. Bits made from specialty materials like cobalt and carbide work best when they have these points. Drill Doctor not only lets you maintain the split point bits you own, you can also add a split point to any of your other bits.
Sharpening with advanced features.
Most drill bits have a standard 118-degree angle. However, when drilling into certain difficult materials, a shallower point or a 135-degree point angle produces a better finished hole. Your Drill Doctor allows you to sharpen bits with either the standard 118-degree or the flatter 135-degree point angle. You can also adjust the relief angle. Now, this is the angle at which the surface of a drill bit falls away from the cutting edge. Depending on the material you are drilling, you may choose to increase or decrease this angle. If you purchased the Model 750, your Drill Doctor has additional advanced features that fine-tune your bit geometry. These include a wider range of point angles and adjusting how much of the bit tip is removed when sharpening. Consult your user guide to learn more. Keep watching to learn how to get the most out of your Drill Doctor. And thank you for buying the Drill Doctor. We think you'll be glad you did.
Stay tuned. The following tape includes sharpening demonstrations, a tour of the parts that make your Drill Doctor work, specific demonstrations showing how to sharpen small bits, large bits, and masonry bits, and cleaning instructions to keep your Drill Doctor running smoothly. How to sharpen with Drill Doctor. The Drill Doctor is easy to use. Only 2 simple steps will sharpen any bit. First, you align the bit. This makes sure the Drill Doctor creates the right geometry, and it sets the bit so that only a small amount of the tip is taken off. Then, you sharpen the bit. Additionally, with your Drill Doctor, you have the option to split the point of the bit. Now, watch as a bit is aligned, then sharpened. If you want, you can now split the point of the bit. That's all there is to sharpening bits with Drill Doctor. A tour of the Drill Doctor. The key parts to the Drill Doctor are the chuck, the alignment port, the sharpening port, and the splitting port. This is the chuck. These are the alignment guides. The chuck jaws that hold the bit, the chuck knob that tightens the chuck, the chuck cams that create the sharpening motion, the sharpening guides, or the white lines, for sharpening, and the marks for aligning the masonry bit. Now, look at the alignment port. These are the alignment notches with the 118-degree mark. These are the clamp arms. This is the drill stop. And this is the alignment button. When pushed in, it opens the clamp arms. This is the sharpening port. This is the cam guide. Note how the sharpening tube rocks back and forth. And this is the diamond sharpening wheel. This is the knob you loosen to adjust the point angle to a standard 118 degrees or a flatter 135 degrees. This is the metal splitting port. These are the guide rails. And this is the mark for aligning the chuck. This is the grit tube to prevent sparks from leaving the Drill Doctor. This is the cover you remove to replace the sharpening wheel. This is the material takeoff adjustment knob. Detailed demonstrations. Before sharpening, you should ensure that the point angle is set correctly. Set it to either a standard 118-degree or a flatter 135-degree point angle. In this example, we will use the 118-degree setting. If you have a Model 750X, you will need to adjust the material takeoff knob before you begin. To set, turn the knob counterclockwise until it stops. Then, turn clockwise 3 marks on the knob. This is a good place to start for most bits. Step 1. Alignment. Insert the bit into the chuck jaws and close the jaws just to the point where the bit slides in and out. Press the alignment button down and hold it. Insert the chuck and match the alignment guide on the chuck with a 118-degree notch on the tube. Release the alignment button and make sure the bit is touching the drill stop. Look at your bit and make sure the clamp arms are in the bit's narrowest spot. If they aren't, turn the bit to the point that is held by the clamp arms in the narrowest width. This is important because this setting determines the angle at which your bit is sharpened. Then hold on to the chuck and tighten the chuck knob. Press the alignment button and remove the chucked drill bit. Tighten the chuck once more so that the bit won't move when you sharpen it. Consult your user's guide for additional alignment settings. Step 2. Sharpen. Insert the chuck and align either white line with a cam guide. Now rotate the chuck 1/2 turn in a clockwise motion. Turn white line to white line an even number of times, about 6 half turns for a 1/4 inch bit and 16 to 20 turns for a 3/8 inch bit. Remove the chuck and inspect the bit. Listen carefully to the sound your Drill Doctor makes. Note that you should direct light pressure into the sharpening hole, not down, and always make sure that the chuck rests firmly against the cam guide as you turn the chuck. This causes the sharpening port to rock back and forth and shapes your bit for the best cutting. Optional step: split the point. To split the point, do not remove the bit from the chuck after sharpening. Align the white line on the chuck with the mark on the splitting port. This will line up the alignment guide with the guide rails. Press chuck slowly and firmly into the splitting port until the chuck stops. Rotate 1/2 turn and repeat. A correctly split bit should look like this. Sharpening small bits. A few quick pointers will help you sharpen smaller bits more successfully. To align the bit, put the bit in the chuck so that it's just snug enough for the bit to move freely. Press and hold the alignment button and insert the chuck part of the way. Use the chuck to rotate the bit until the clamp arms can hold it in the narrowest width of the bit. Release the alignment button and make sure the clamp arms are holding the bit in the narrowest width. Rotate the chuck until the alignment guide is at the 118-degree setting. Push the chuck all the way into the port. Tighten the chuck, remove, and tighten again. Now sharpen the small bit, but use very light pressure, using an even number of turns. The bit should only briefly contact the wheel. Sharpening large bits. The Model 500X sharpens bits from 3/32 to 1/2 inch. The Model 750X sharpens bits up to 3/4 inch in size. This chuck may be purchased separately for the Model 500X. Large bits are sharpened just like any other bit. It is important that the entire face of the drill bit is sharpened. A large bit will require more white line to white line rotations. Bits 1/2 inch or larger will need a minimum of 20 half turns. A 3/4 inch bit may require up to 40 half turns. Your drill doctor is delivered with a 180 grit diamond sharpening wheel. If you regularly sharpen larger bits between 1/2 inch and 3/4 inch, you may wish to purchase the coarser 100 grit sharpening wheel, which sharpens larger bits faster. Either the 100 grit wheel or a replacement 180 grit wheel may be purchased directly from Drill Doctor. Sharpening masonry bits. Masonry bits are sharpened using a plunge action. Insert the bit into the chuck and line up the tip of the bit so that it's parallel to the marks on the end of the chuck. Set the depth by lining up the white line with a cam guide. Insert the chuck, then push the bit in until it stops. Tighten the chuck, remove, and tighten again. To sharpen, line up the white line on the chuck with a cam guide. Then push or plunge the chuck until it touches the wheel. Rotate 1/2 turn and repeat plunge action. Inspect the bit and continue until the cutting surfaces are sharp. Cleaning. Your drill doctor is a precision tool and should be cleaned periodically to remove dust and grit that can wear down the ports and the chucks. The following process takes approximately 5 minutes and should be done after every 20 bits you sharpen. You will need to clean the chuck, the alignment port, sharpening wheel area, the sharpening port, and the splitting port. Unplug your drill doctor before beginning the cleaning process. To clean around the sharpening wheel, use a dry brush to remove dust particles from around the wheel. To clean the ports, wipe the inside and outside of each with a dry cloth to remove any grinding dust, or vacuum each port with a 1-inch vacuum hose. A clean chuck will prevent bits from slipping out of alignment during sharpening. To clean, blow compressed air through the chuck from the knob end to remove grinding dust. Your diamond sharpening wheel will wear down over time and will need to be replaced. To change the wheel, remove the cover, remove the wheel, and replace.